One mother takes an extraordinary risk. Disguised as a janitor, she infiltrates her son's empire to find him a wife. But the woman she has her eyes on? She has secrets of her own. In the heart of the sprawling city of Nairobi, where the melodies of the bustling market mingled with the rhythm of traffic, there was a small office space tucked between elegant skyscrapers. This was where the multinational firm headed by the charismatic Ralph Kuzala sat. Every morning, Ralph could be seen striding through the glass doors with a demeanor that demanded respect, his crisp suits a testament to his success. But beneath that impeccable exterior lay a restlessness, a void that no amount of wealth seemed to fill. Ralph's corner office overlooked the city he had conquered with strategic business acumen and unwavering determination. At 36, he had accumulated more wealth than most could dream of in a lifetime. The walls of his office were adorned with awards and certificates, each frame a silent testament to his professional achievements. Yet, as he sat in his Italian leather chair, fingers drumming against the mahogany desk, his eyes betrayed a loneliness that his employees never saw. "Mr. Kuzala," his assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your mother called again. She insists on speaking with you." Ralph sighed, the weight of familial expectations heavy on his already burdened shoulders. Mama Chimamanda had been increasingly vocal about his single status, her subtle hints evolving into outright declarations that it was time he found a wife. "Tell her I'll call her back," he responded, knowing full well he wouldn't. Not yet. There was a board meeting to prepare for, contracts to review, and decisions that would impact hundreds of employees. Personal matters would have to wait, as they always did. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across his desk, Ralph loosened his tie, a small rebellion against the constraints of his polished life. The emptiness of his penthouse awaited him, a space filled with expensive furniture but devoid of warmth. He wondered, not for the first time, if success was meant to feel this hollow. Ralph's mother, a woman of formidable presence and kindness, had a scheme. Her name was Mama Chimamanda, a name that invoked respect and warmth in equal measure. She entered the office disguised as just another janitor. Her simple attire, a testament to humility, not necessity. She wielded her mop like an ancient staff, her eyes scanning the staff with an unerring wisdom that all mothers possess. "New cleaning lady starting today," she announced to the security guard, who barely glanced at her identification badge. The ease with which she infiltrated her son's corporate fortress almost made her chuckle. The badge she wore belonged to her friend's daughter, who genuinely worked for the cleaning company contracted by Ralph's firm. A little deception for a greater good, she reasoned. Mama Chimamanda had raised Ralph after his father's untimely death, nurturing his ambition while instilling in him the values of their heritage. She had watched with pride as he climbed the ladder of success, but now, in the twilight of her life, she worried about his happiness. The wealth and accolades meant nothing if he returned home to emptiness each night. As she moved through the corridors with her cleaning cart, she observed the dynamics of the office. The executives with their forced laughter, the middle managers scrambling to please, and the support staff, the true backbone of any organization, going about their tasks with diligent efficiency. "Excuse me," a young woman said, sidestepping to avoid Mama Chimamanda's mop. "I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there." Mama Chimamanda looked up and met the most sincere eyes she had seen in this building so far. The young woman wore a simple blouse and pencil skirt, her hair neatly styled but not ostentatious. She carried herself with a quiet dignity that resonated with Mama Chimamanda immediately. "No harm done, child," Mama Chimamanda replied, intentionally softening her voice to match her disguise. "What's your name?" "Nia," the young woman replied with a gentle smile. "I'm Mr. Kuzala's secretary." Mama Chimamanda's heart quickened. This was fortuitous indeed. Who better to know her son's daily routines than his secretary? "Nice to meet you, Nia. She hesitated for just a moment. Just Ma. Everyone calls me that." Nia's smile widened. Welcome, Ma. If you need anything, I'm usually at that desk right there. She pointed to a neat workstation just outside Ralph's office. Thank you, child, Mama Chimamanda replied, already formulating the next phase of her plan. As Nia walked away, Mama Chimamanda couldn't help but notice the gentle sway of her steps, the kind that spoke of confidence without arrogance. Her intuition, honed over decades, whispered that there was something special about this young woman. On one of those vibrant mornings, as the sun poured through the windows with the promise of a new day, Mama Chimamanda encountered Nia, a quiet secretary whose essence seemed entwined with the city's spirit. Nia was not one to stand out with loud proclamations, but with silent strength and a heart woven with tales of her own. Mama Chimamanda strategically timed her cleaning routine to coincide with Nia's early arrival. Most days, Nia was the first to enter the office, a full hour before her colleagues streamed in with their coffee cups and morning complaints. "You're always early," Mama Chimamanda commented, pushing her cart toward Nia's desk. Nia looked up from her computer, where she was already responding to emails that had arrived overnight. "I like the quiet," she admitted. "It gives me time to think, to prepare for the day ahead." Mama Chimamanda nodded, understanding the value of solitude. A thoughtful approach. Most people rush through life without taking time to breathe. Nia laughed softly, the sound reminiscent of wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "My grandmother always said that a hurried meal brings no nourishment to the soul. I suppose I apply that to all aspects of life." "Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman," Mama Chimamanda said, intentionally lingering near Nia's desk. She noticed a small framed photograph tucked beside Nia's computer monitor, a group of smiling faces standing before a modest house. "Is that your family?" Nia's expression softened with affection as she glanced at the photograph. "Yes, that's them, back in Kisumu, by Lake Victoria." "Kisumu," Mama Chimamanda echoed, genuine interest lighting her eyes. "I haven't been there in years. The sunsets over the lake are magnificent." "They are," Nia agreed, her voice taking on a wistful quality. "I miss them sometimes. The city has its own beauty, but there's something about home that can't be replicated." "What brought you to Nairobi, away from such beauty?" Mama Chimamanda asked, careful to maintain the casualness of their conversation despite her keen interest in the answer. Nia's fingers brushed over the keyboard, a momentary hesitation. "Opportunity, I suppose, the chance to help my family. My younger siblings are still in school, and my mother—" She paused, a shadow briefly crossing her features. "My mother hasn't been well. The medical bills pile up." Mama Chimamanda felt a surge of respect for this young woman. Responsibility and sacrifice. Traits that revealed character far more than any resume could. "You carry much on your shoulders for someone so young." "We all have our burdens," Nia responded without self-pity. "I'm fortunate to have found employment here. Mr. Kuzala runs a fair company." "And what do you think of him, this Mr. Kuzala?" Mama Chimamanda asked, unable to resist the direct inquiry. A faint blush colored Nia's cheeks, almost imperceptible against her smooth brown skin. "He's dedicated, brilliant with numbers and strategy. Sometimes I think he works too hard, but who am I to say? We all have our reasons for the paths we choose." The sound of the elevator doors opening signaled the arrival of other employees. Nia straightened in her chair, professionalism replacing the momentary vulnerability she had shown. "I should get back to work. It was nice talking with you, Ma." Mama Chimamanda nodded, moving away with her cart, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. The seeds had been planted, now to see what would grow from them. Mama Chimamanda peeled back the layers of Nia's world with each conversation. Nia spoke of her family back in Kisumu, of how her mother wove baskets, the intricate patterns reflecting the stories of their ancestors. Her ambition wasn't carved from greed but necessity, to uplift her family, to build a future that honored her roots yet sought to bloom beyond it. Their conversations continued over the following days, often during lunch breaks when Nia would eat her homemade meal in the small courtyard behind the office building. Mama Chimamanda would join her, offering a piece of traditional pastry she had baked the night before. "This is delicious," Nia exclaimed, savoring the sweet, spiced flavor. "It reminds me of what my grandmother makes for special occasions." "Food carries memory," Mama Chimamanda said, watching Nia with maternal affection. "When we prepare the dishes of our ancestors, we keep their spirits alive in our kitchens." Nia nodded enthusiastically. "My grandmother says the same thing. She taught me to cook when I was just tall enough to reach the stove. She would tell stories while we worked, tales of our family's history, of brave women and honorable men who faced challenges much greater than our own." "And now you continue their legacy," Mama Chimamanda observed. Nia looked thoughtful, absently twirling her fork in her lunch container. "I try to. Sometimes it's hard being so far from them. The city can be lonely." "Do you have friends here? People who understand your journey?" Mama Chimamanda asked, steering the conversation with deliberate gentleness. "A few," Nia admitted. "My roommate Asha works at the hospital. We were childhood friends who both ended up in Nairobi. And there are some colleagues here who have been kind." She hesitated, then added, "Most people are wrapped up in their own lives, though. The city moves too fast for deep connections." "And what of love?" Mama Chimamanda ventured boldly. "A beautiful young woman like you must have admirers." Nia laughed, the sound tinged with a hint of sadness. "Love requires time and openness. I have little of either to spare right now. My family depends on me." "Love finds a way, even in the busiest of lives," Mama Chimamanda countered softly. "Sometimes it arrives when we least expect it, in forms we might not immediately recognize." Nia's phone buzzed with a reminder. "I should head back. Mr. Kuzala has a conference call in 10 minutes, and I need to prepare the files he requested." As Nia gathered her belongings, Mama Chimamanda noticed the care with which she packed away her lunch container, the methodical way she checked her appearance before returning to her professional role. Such attention to detail, such conscientiousness. These were qualities that would complement her son's more impulsive nature. "Thank you for sharing your lunch break with an old woman," Mama Chimamanda said, playing her role to perfection. "You're hardly old," Nia protested with a kind smile. "And your company is a bright spot in my day. Same time tomorrow?" Mama Chimamanda nodded, watching as Nia hurried back into the building, her posture straight, her steps purposeful. Yes, this young woman had potential indeed. Now to ensure that Ralph would see it too. Days turned into weeks, and Mama Chimamanda's silent observations led her to an undeniable truth. Nia possessed a strength wrapped in gentleness, a wisdom born of hardship, a potential that could fill the void in her son's life. Yet, she knew this match could not be forced into existence like a piece of clay molded by eager hands. It had to be nurtured, allowed to form naturally. Mama Chimamanda had witnessed Ralph's interactions with Nia, formal, professional, but with occasional glimpses of genuine appreciation, when Nia anticipated his needs or offered insights that others missed. He respected her work ethic, that much was clear, but respect was merely the foundation. What would it take to build something more? The answer came unexpectedly during an office crisis that required all hands on deck. A major client had threatened to pull their business after a misunderstanding about contract terms. Ralph had sequestered himself in his office, phone calls flying back and forth as he attempted to salvage the relationship. Nia had stayed late, canceling her plans without complaint. Mama Chimamanda, under the pretense of evening cleaning duties, observed as Nia meticulously combed through the contract, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Mr. Kuzala," Nia's voice was steady as she knocked on his office door, a folder clutched in her hands. "I found something that might help." Ralph looked up from his computer, fatigue etched in the lines around his eyes. "Come in." Mama Chimamanda casually positioned herself near the open door, mop in hand, ears attuned to the conversation within. "Section 4.3, Nia said, placing the open folder before Ralph and pointing to a highlighted clause. It specifically states that modifications to delivery timelines must be approved by both parties in writing. The client verbally agreed to the extension last month. I made notes of the call here, but we never sent formal documentation for signature. Ralph stared at the clause, then at Nia's meticulous notes. This could be our way out, he murmured, then looked up at Nia with new appreciation. How did you remember that call? Nia shrugged modestly. I listen, and I've learned that in business, details matter. A slow smile spread across Ralph's face, not the polished professional smile he wore for clients, but something more genuine. You've potentially saved us millions with your attention to detail, Nia. Thank you. The sincerity in his voice caused Nia to blush slightly. Just doing my job, sir. Ralph, he corrected her. After hours of crisis management, I think we can dispense with formalities. Nia's smile matched his in warmth. Ralph, then. Should I draft the formal documentation now? Please, he nodded, then added, and order some dinner. I suspect we'll be here a while longer. Already done, Nia replied. It should arrive in about 20 minutes. I ordered from that Ethiopian place down the street, the one you mentioned liking last week. Surprise flickered across Ralph's features, followed by gratitude. You think of everything. Not everything, Nia admitted with a small laugh, but I try to anticipate what might be helpful. As Nia turned to leave, Ralph called after her, Nia, join me for dinner? We can work through this together. Mama Chimamanda quietly moved away from the door, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. The seeds she had planted were beginning to sprout. Now she would need to tend to them carefully, ensuring they grew strong and true. The break room was aglow with laughter, employees taking refuge from the morning's work. Nia sat with her friend Asha, sharing a story from home. Her laughter was like a bell ringing clear, drawing eyes, including Ralph's, from across the room. And then my little brother, completely covered in mud, declared himself the village champion. Nia's eyes crinkled with mirth as she recounted the tale to Asha, who had stopped by the office to meet her for lunch. How old is he now? Asha asked, wiping tears of laughter from her eyes. 12 going on 30, Nia replied fondly. He's already talking about becoming an engineer, designing better irrigation systems for our community farms. Ralph had entered the break room, intending only to refill his coffee, but the sound of Nia's laughter, so different from her professional demeanor at her desk, drew his attention. He found himself lingering by the coffee machine, absorbing the warmth of her storytelling. Mama Chimamanda, dusting nearby shelves, observed the subtle shift in her son's posture as he listened to Nia. The slight relaxation of his usually tense shoulders, the softening around his eyes. Small changes that only a mother would notice. Oh! Nia exclaimed, suddenly aware of Ralph's presence. She straightened slightly, though her smile remained. Good afternoon, Mr. Quizala. Ralph? She corrected herself, remembering their agreement from the late-night crisis session. Don't let me interrupt, Ralph said, raising his coffee cup in greeting. I was just passing through. This is my friend Asha, Nia introduced. She works at Kenyatta National Hospital as a pediatric nurse. Ralph extended his hand, his manners impeccable as always. A pleasure to meet you, Asha. An admirable profession. Less glamorous than running a multinational corporation, Asha replied with a straightforward honesty that made Nia wince slightly. But we all serve in our own ways. Rather than being offended, Ralph laughed, a genuine sound that surprised even him. Indeed we do. Though I suspect your service brings more immediate joy than quarterly profit reports. You'd be surprised, Asha countered with a grin. Have you ever seen a child's face when they're well enough to go home? That's better than any bonus. I can imagine, Ralph said softly, and for a moment a shadow crossed his features, so brief that only Mama Chimamanda caught it. The shadow of longing, of something missing. Nia tells me you've been working on a major project, Asha continued, unaware of the emotional current beneath the surface. She's been putting in some serious hours. She has, Ralph agreed, glancing at Nia with appreciation. Her contributions have been invaluable. Nia ducked her head slightly, unused to direct praise. It's a team effort. A team needs each member to excel, Ralph countered. Speaking of which, I should return to my part of that effort. Enjoy your lunch, ladies. As he turned to leave, Mama Chimamanda deliberately moved her dustcloth across his path, causing him to step sideways, directly into Nia's space. Their proximity was sudden, unexpected. For a suspended moment, they were close enough for Ralph to catch the subtle scent of jasmine in Nia's hair, for Nia to notice the flecks of amber in Ralph's dark eyes. "Excuse me," Ralph murmured, regaining his composure and stepping back. "No harm done," Nia replied, her voice slightly breathless. As Ralph exited the break room, Asha leaned forward, whispering fiercely, "Did you see how he looked at you? The great Ralph Kuzala, actually seeing you as a woman, not just his secretary." "Don't be ridiculous," Nia dismissed, though her cheeks had warmed. "He's my boss, nothing more." Asha hummed skeptically. "And I'm the Queen of England." Mama Chimamanda, still busying herself with dusting, smiled secretly. The garden of possibility was growing indeed. Mama Chimamanda had been quietly listening, her heart swelling with a pride that wasn't hers to claim. Ralph's guarded demeanor softened just a touch as he interacted more with Nia, skilled in masking interest behind courteous exchanges. In the weeks that followed, Mama Chimamanda watched the subtle dance between her son and Nia with the patience of a seasoned matchmaker. Ralph began to find reasons to consult with Nia directly rather than sending emails or summoning her to his office via intercom. He would stop by her desk, ostensibly to check on project updates, but these brief interactions gradually extended, evolving into conversations that sometimes strayed beyond the strictly professional. "I heard you're from Kisumu," Ralph mentioned casually one afternoon as Nia handed him a stack of reports. "My father's family has roots there, though I've rarely visited as an adult." Nia's eyes brightened with interest. "Really? Which part?" "Near the lakeshore," Ralph replied, leaning slightly against her desk in a rare posture of relaxation. "My grandfather was a fisherman before he moved to Nairobi to start his business." "The best fish comes from those waters," Nia said with conviction. "My uncle still fishes there. Sometimes he sends us dried tilapia through relatives traveling to the city." Ralph's expression grew wistful. "I haven't had proper lake tilapia in years. The restaurants here just don't get it right." "I could bring you some," Nia offered impulsively, then immediately looked embarrassed by her forwardness. "I mean, if I happen to receive any from home, I could share, if that would be appropriate." "I'd like that," Ralph replied, his tone genuine rather than merely polite. "Consider it cultural exchange." Mama Chimamanda, arranging fresh flowers in a vase nearby, a task she had invented for herself to justify her presence, noted how Ralph lingered a moment longer than necessary before returning to his office. His steps were lighter, his posture less rigid than when he had emerged that morning. Later that afternoon, as Mama Chimamanda wiped down the glass partition of Ralph's office, she observed him staring thoughtfully out the window, his usually focused attention diverted from the documents spread across his desk. Following his gaze, she realized he was watching Nia, who was engaged in animated conversation with a colleague by the copy machine. The look on her son's face, a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and uncertainty, told her everything she needed to know. The seeds had not only sprouted but were beginning to blossom. Now came the delicate task of ensuring they flourished rather than withered under the harsh light of corporate expectations and social differences. That evening, as Mama Chimamanda completed her shift, she purposefully timed her departure to coincide with Nia's. "Long day, child?" she asked as they walked toward the elevator together. "Productive," Nia replied with a tired smile. "Those are the best kind, aren't they?" "Depends on what one is producing," Mama Chimamanda said cryptically. "Some days we produce reports and profits. Other days we produce something far more valuable, connections, understanding, perhaps even beginnings." Nia glanced at her curiously. "That's quite philosophical for the end of a workday." "Old women like me have earned the right to philosophy," Mama Chimamanda chuckled. We've seen enough of life to recognize what truly matters. As they reached the lobby, Mama Chimamanda noticed Ralph emerging from a conference room, his briefcase in hand, clearly also preparing to leave. Perfect timing. "Mr. Kuzala," she called out, ignoring Nia's surprised expression at her boldness. "Heading home as well?" Ralph looked up, momentarily confused to be addressed by a member of the cleaning staff. Then recognition dawned. The older woman who often worked near Nia's desk. "Yes," he replied politely, approaching them. "Your ma, right? From the cleaning service?" "Good memory," Mama Chimamanda acknowledged with an approving nod. Not all bosses remember the names of those who empty their trash bins. Rather than taking offense, Ralph smiled ruefully. "My mother would have my hide if I didn't show proper respect to everyone who contributes to the company's success. She has very firm views on human dignity, regardless of position." "She sounds like a wise woman," Mama Chimamanda replied, secretly delighted. "Are you both taking the bus? These streets aren't safe for a young woman alone at this hour." Nia shook her head quickly. "Oh, I'm fine. I take this route every day." "I'm driving," Ralph said, then hesitated before adding, "I could offer you a ride, Nia, if you'd like. It's really no trouble." Mama Chimamanda held her breath, watching the internal debate play across Nia's features. "That's very kind," Nia finally said, "but I wouldn't want to impose." "It's not an imposition," Ralph insisted, with more warmth than his usual professional courtesy. "Actually, I'd appreciate the company. These drives home can be solitary." The vulnerability in that admission seemed to sway Nia. "Well, if you're sure it's no trouble." "None at all," Ralph assured her. "Excellent," Mama Chimamanda declared, as if the matter had been settled all along. "Young people should look out for each other. Now, my bus awaits. Good night to you both." As she walked away, Mama Chimamanda didn't need to look back to know that she had engineered another small step forward. The garden was blooming nicely indeed. As Ralph's car pulled away from the curb, Mama Chimamanda smiled triumphantly, her plan unfolding perfectly. Yet her celebration was cut short when a rugged SUV screeched to a halt beside her. "Excuse me?" a deep voice called out. A handsome man in a doctor's coat leaned from the window. "I'm Dr. Jabari Mutua, Nia's fiancé. I was supposed to surprise her after work." Mama Chimamanda's blood ran cold. Nia had never mentioned any engagement. "I've been away treating patients in rural villages," Jabari continued, eyes searching the parking lot. "Her roommate said she'd be here." His brow furrowed with concern. "Was that my future wife leaving with her boss just now?" That's all for part 1 of this intriguing story. Let me know if you enjoyed it by smashing that like button and letting me know in the comments, and I will get part 2 out to you. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed and are looking forward to part 2 where the story takes a surprising turn.